Burns.
Sylvia Mayolo. I believe that
Mr. Mayor, we can't
Florida,
we can't let speakers come back. Our
I'm
established
sorry.
practice is not to let people come
no,
up
I
a second
want
time
to
because then we have to
respond
let everybody
something.
else come up a second time.
And it's
So
midnight.
yeah, and it is midnight, and we still have other
Yeah.
business to get to. So.
Mr. Mayor.
Good evening, Kevin Burns, 2065 Alamanda Drive, North Miami. Wanted to touch on a few points real quick. I don't know if you noticed, Mr. Galvin and Marie, or Councilwoman Sturrill, of what they've done on Northwest 7th Avenue with the medians. You know that the county or the state has come through and changed the turning figures and the amount of access you have to some of the businesses on 7th Avenue. But to add insult to injury, now that you can't get into certain businesses because of the way they've redone the turn lanes, is that horrible landscaping that they've installed. That landscaping on 7th Avenue is so embarrassing. Those little puny trees, those little things, I guarantee you, Miami Shores wouldn't accept it. North Miami Beach didn't accept it. Nobody else is accepting it, yet again, 7th Avenue, where we're spending $1 million to tell business owners to do their facades. You got people like the Cruz family who take care of the Burger King. You got Polo Tropical who does a lot of stuff. We're trying to improve 7th Avenue, and the county and state come along and put that embarrassing landscaping that is totally unacceptable. And I'm just bringing that up. I'm sure you all are in that neighborhood every day. You know, you travel there. Marie, that's your
Hey,
district.
I'm glad that you bring it up.
Okay.
I trust me. I had meeting with them. I actually took them, the city manager, the budget director. We call F that. I went with them actually on 7th Avenue. I was so disappointed to see that not only that gave us the skinny palm trees, then they give us 3 type of trees. And I was shocked to see nobody else raise hell about it. And the sad thing is they told me that they actually show it to our staff. And then we actually agreed with it. And it's they promised to come back and tell us what can they do about it, how they can change it. You know what? I'm glad you mentioned it.
Oh, absolutely. It's totally embarrassing. It's what they tried to pull on 6th Avenue when they messed up all the turn lanes on 6th Avenue.
Yep.
Next thing, building department. You had a conversation tonight with the CAP organization. I'm disappointed that staff didn't go back earlier than 2011 because in 2005, 2006, 2007, 2008, and 2009, that department was throwing off, was giving, donating, contributing to the general fund in excess of $800 to $1 million after their expenses to the general fund. We outsourced it, hired CAP to do it, but also it was in response to a economic turndown where we crashed. Building permits were not coming in, but they kept the staff at the exact same level as they did when, you know, when buildings were booming. You should have cut it back then. They finally got around to it, but they outsourced it, saying they're going to save so much money. Well, now, with things back on the upswing, and I know somebody brought up about all this money that they're going to be taking in, right when Biscayne Landing, and by the way, the permitting fees are estimated, according to Biscayne Landings, to be anywhere from $2 to $5 million over the 10-year period of time of building fees, 70% going out to the company. It definitely needs to be revisited. When staff did it in-house, we outsourced the roofing inspector and the electric, I think roofing and one other trade. The rest were in-house. Right. At the disposal of the city, you could get an inspection right away. The hardest one to get was the roofer because they could go out and inspect 20 buildings in one night and make much more money or one day. But it's something that definitely needs to be considered. We did a great job for 45 years and made a lot of money off of the building department. And now, first time I ever heard that the building department actually lost money in several years. The other one is Miss West. I wanted to buy that house 10 years ago, and we couldn't do it. The only way you're going to solve that problem is buy the house. I went there one time when I was mayor, and there was that much human waste under her house. Nobody should live in that. The county said, oh, it's a problem. It's a problem. We wanted to buy it. Couldn't figure out how to do it. Now you're going to put a park next to her house. It's where the footbridge is, for those who aren't familiar with it. The footbridge is there. You need to buy that house, raise the level, and solve this problem because it's not just her problem, it's all of our problem. And guess where that sewer waste goes? It goes into that canal. Guess where that canal water goes? It goes to the lakes. It goes down the river. It goes to Miami Shores. It goes everywhere. Somebody's going to turn around and say, you're polluting that with the runoff, and we're going to have bigger problems. And you already know the city and the county's already settled claims on that, and I'm wrapping this up. What Howard said, and I know a lot of people don't want to listen to about raising water tables and climate change and all that, but you know, we've already closed 2 deep injection wells here in North Miami, the one that's right outside this building where we used to get fresh water, but it got capped 25 years ago because of saltwater intrusion. And we only have a few wells, or 2 or 3, I think 2 or maybe 1 well left further in part of town. When we lose that, we lose our fresh water source. So it is something to consider. And the other thing is, you all have a problem with your CRA, and you saw the beginning of it tonight. Thank you very much.
Good evening yet again. William Prevotel, 11950 North Bay Shore Drive. If I may, I'd like to address what I see as a great need for the city to have some sort of representation from the design end, from urban planning and design, architecturally. We seem to be lacking on a regular basis this area of interest. There's nobody really representing the city. Recently, I had made an appeal to the council and our staff that we had the Broad Causeway toll booth, that it could have been preserved as an eco-educational center. That was 3 months ago. I looked for support in that. If there was been someone with better appreciation of what the possibilities were, that might have been intact, and we had legal grounds to do that. Recently, I went over to my North Bay Shore Park to see that they've put up a dog walk after many years of anticipating this. And because it didn't have really a proper design review, the relatively small park, which as many times I've said is right on the water, but you can't even distinguish that it's on the water because it's so overgrown, now has the fenced-in dog park in the exact center of it, blocking all views. Everybody who's used it has complained. It makes no sense at all. I don't know how these things go by. We really need a design review. Pertaining to the CRA, saw that earlier on TV. And again, I'm not too sure how things have evolved so far. If I asked all of you, and I have, 9 people in front of me, if any of you know what the master plan, what the conceptual plan is, and to describe it with some enthusiasm of how it's going to be beneficial for our city, I bet all of you would be dumbfounded. I hate to say that. There has been nothing presented. It's really been the king has no clothes, and we all go, that's wonderful, but there's nothing really there. Can anybody say that, oh, we're extending a park, we're doing this, we're doing that? Okay. You don't have it, do you? There's nothing to describe what is supposedly this grand plan, because there is no vision. And when I find that, you know, the vision is the one thing you can describe is that we're going to be putting up structured parking, it's sad. Is that what our vision of North Miami should be? Come to North Miami, it has structured parking? Because we can easily go, I mean, I've been here all times of day and night and to special events and such, and within a few minutes I've been able to find a parking space without going crazy. But there is a better plan for downtown. Aleem knows it. Aleem, the same way that you knew 2 years ago that I had a better plan for Biscayne Landing, and tell me if my plan was not better. I ask you, and tell me if my plan for downtown is not better. And you're welcome to lay me out here. But it is better. And I wish you would tell others. And instead I keep getting told to speak to the council, and it's so hard, it's like, you know, it's sort of wrangling cats. And on this occasion, I'd like to appeal that you have representation as an urban designer, as an architect, that the city has someone fighting for their interests, that every design issue that comes out of this city, whether it be parks, public works, like the god-awful water treatment plant proposal we have, banal, you know, that all of this stuff could get some sort of attention to the benefit of our city and our citizens, and that you wouldn't get yourself in compromises such as what's happening with the CRA, that there'd be a little bit more something that you could bite into, that you could represent, that would be in your interest, that would be in your interest as a council, rather than squandering money left and right on study after study, which really proves no fruit in the end.
All right.
So I appreciate your
Thank-
consideration.
Thank you
for
very much, Mr.
new position.
Brevetel.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Carol Prager, 2509 Northeast 135th Street. I just want to say that I was very entertained and delighted to see the presentation on the library renovations. We've been talking about the library for decades now, and I'm really thrilled to see that it's happening and that it really looks good. The same thing with the water plant. Great, thank you, anybody and everybody that had anything to do with that. I'm glad it's not just talk anymore and it's action. I just have a couple of items. I want to talk about red lights. I wasn't going to, but after the discussion I will. I go to Fort Lauderdale very frequently on weekends when there's very, very heavy traffic coming off of I-95 onto Sunrise Boulevard heading east. Their red light cameras are mounted right on top of the street lights so that you see them. And I've never seen regulated traffic like that in my entire life. Our cameras can't be seen. And I know that we probably follow whatever rule there is to put the signs up to tell you that there's camera there, but I can guarantee you very few people see them. And, you know, if Fort Lauderdale can do it on a 6-lane highway all over downtown Fort Lauderdale, as a matter of fact, maybe we ought to look at putting ours up in a different manner. Maybe it's a different company. Maybe they do it better. Maybe they do it cheaper. Weekend code compliance. I've been driving around the city again. Back when Kevin Burns was mayor, Annie and Montgomery and I spent an entire weekend photographing the city of North Miami from every corner. We showed up with some 300 photos of very obvious code infractions. It's an ongoing problem. Please bear with me.
15 more seconds.
It's gotten somewhat better, but what happens on weekends is that these yard signs start popping up like triffids, and we've got them going on right now with the tax return signs, and I always complain about all of these, the nature of all of these signs, because I think that they're predatory, and the audience that responds to them shouldn't be spending their money on those items, so I would hope that code could be a little bit more active on weekends. In December, I came to support a petitioner at Board of Adjustments on a development in my neighborhood. The agenda was very full that evening, and unfortunately, for the first time, I was told in the history of Board of Adjustments there was not a quorum. Two of these developers are spending a tremendous amount of money in North Miami, and the fact that they were not heard at that evening's meeting meant that they have to now come back to tomorrow night's meeting, and then they've got to wait for the next council meeting. It doesn't bode well for people wanting to come into the city to develop and spend money. I was told by individuals in administration that a number of people that were appointed to the board were notoriously absent. I think because it's a quasi-judicial board, that the people who are appointed to this board should be very well vetted and fully committed to showing up, because they are representing the city and they're actually holding your business up as well. And having said that, I did call Louis today. He's a wonderful, wonderful employee. He's wonderful. Louis is wonderful. And offered up my name for consideration. If you do not have individuals to fill any empty spots on Board of Adjustments, I will make myself available and fully committed to it. I sat in it one time before, and I will work my schedule around whatever the meetings are if you do not have anybody to sit on that board. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Public forum is now closed. We're going.
Mr. City Manager, how often that happen with the Board of Adjustment not having quorum in order to conduct business?
I can't tell you. I'll have to find out. But that's a problem we've been having not only with the Board of Adjustments, but a lot of other boards that we have.
Yeah, but other board, other boards. Some people are sleeping, kicking me. Like,
Yeah.
no, but this is serious. A serious
Yeah.
matters. Other advisory board, I can understand that,
Yes.
but the board of adjustment actually, we as a council in the city depend on that board. So maybe this is something that we need to take into
We'll look into
to
it.
look into it to
Yes.
see what is it that can be done. Because
Just
we don't-
limit it to a
we-
number, to a
if we-
maximum number of absences per
Yeah,
member.
if we're looking for business, so we
Two
have to
consecutive.
treat our developers
Um,
fairly.
Yeah.
If you really want it, I have a copy of the
But
report.
this
It
is
was
something
sent
that
to
we
you
can
guys.
talk after,
Yeah.
because after 12
Yeah.
o'clock, we start like kind of shut down.
Okay.
Because the mayor kicking me like, I have to go. So, I'm done. Thank you.
Chief,
Thank you,
chief
sir.
wishes to be heard.
Just give me a
like-
minute.
Never mind. I was just.
I realize the time, but I have to say on behalf of we had our first masquerade gala, and on behalf of the children that participate in the PAL program, along with the executive board, I'd like to thank Mayor, the entire council who attended that night, city manager, and a few of the other city department directors as well. Extremely pleasing, enjoyable night, but more important, relaxing. I know we all work hard. It's good to pull away some time and play hard, should I say? But thank you as well. Like I said, the benefits are going to the PAL program, and we do have a quarterly report that we'll be providing, I believe, on February 10th. Thank you again for attending.
Thank you very much. Okay. Public
just-
forum is now closed, ma'am.
Well, I was just
Ma'am?
wondering, are you going to do the appointments?
Not tonight.
Cappy?
That's why I wanted to
Not
show you.
tonight.
Mr. Mayor,
It
may I make a motion that we continue the items to the top of the February 9th agenda or whatever that is? Because this happens to us every single meeting where we get to this late hour and
Yeah, yeah.
nobody wants to deal with it. It is a lengthy beast of an item.
It
Put
is.
it at the top of the agenda. And please, staff, keep your presentations to 5 minutes max. We had close to 2 hours tonight just from staff on special projects and upcoming events, and it's nice, but 12:30, we can't ask the public to keep their comments short, but I can ask staff to. So
Yes.
cut it out, tighten it up, and put that at the top of the next agenda.
All right, council reports. We'll start with me. I want to start by saying Happy New Year to everyone. I know this is the first time we've seen each other since the year began. And I want to simply report that we started, just like Mr. Whistler stated earlier, repairing some streets in the area of the downtown, like 123rd, I believe, 24th.
124.
124th, but there is one on 123rd we were looking at,
Yes. Yeah.
which is in the downtown corridor. That's to make the downtown area a little bit more appealing, and hopefully we can attract, because we discovered when some investors start coming around, they look at the surroundings, at what it looks like, and that tends to affect their decision as to whether they want to come in a city that looks like Blight, as opposed to a city that really start looking much better. So I'm very excited about some of all the small little projects that we are doing, like be it doing some runabouts where traffics have been really a hazard and residents have been complaining about them. And also next week, I want to announce that I will be, along with some other staff members, will be going to Washington, D.C. in the White House to meet with President Obama.
Tell him I say hi.
I'll tell him that the whole council says hi, and hopefully he'll say hi back. I don't know. And thank you very much for coming. And had it not been for you, we couldn't have a meeting. And thank you for listening. And I will go to the next council member, who happens to be Ms. Keys.
No real report, Happy New Year, but we do have our traffic study has been completed. I hope it's finalized, and I hope it's something we can discuss on the next agenda. Thank you.
No report from me, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Councilwoman?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just once, Happy New Year, everyone. Ms. Brown, I will talk to you regarding Pepper Park. Actually, we were supposed to have an item on the agenda because that it has to be presented before the Board of Adjustment as well.
Planning Commission.
Planning Commission, yeah. But I will share the idea that we have for Pepper Park, that we'll bring it before council. I just don't want it like just a patch on Pepper Park. As you know that I have been working very hard in my district. We have about 3 parks that's under renovation right now. 2 on the east side of 7th Avenue and 1 on the west side of 7th Avenue, which is Oleander Park. And I think it's very close by your house. So, for Let's Move Miami, which most of you know that this is my initiative for the past 2 years. And we were just, we were recognized by the First Lady, by National League of Cities last year. I think 2014. Yes. And this year we just awarded $25,000, which I plan to do a little bit of work on, I mean, not work, but to create a nutrition program on the Kiwanis Park, since it's after 12 o'clock. So my train of thought is is very small right now. But anyways, thank you so much, Mr. City Manager, for your hard work, for all the meeting that you get today. So everyone else, good night. I'm leaving and I'm going home, so it's late.
Thank you. I want to wish everyone Happy New Year, and also want to let you know that this Saturday from 9 a.m. to 12, we're going to have a citizenship drive at Griffin Center. It's in collaboration with Florida New Immigrants and Florida New Americans. It's going to be a citizenship drive. It's going to be free from 9 a.m. to 12 a.m. this Saturday at Griffin Center, 12 p.m. Thank you. Good night.
The city clerk's report.
Yes, Mayor. We have the report. We have some appointment. Are we going?
We should know.
Next
We
meeting.
next.
No, I just.
City attorney's report. City
report, thank
City manager's report.
Just quick, it's going to be brief. We already hired a purchasing manager. I will introduce her at the next meeting and send her bio, Shannon Graham. And the other item we have is the MOCA agreement was signed today at around 5 o'clock. At the next meeting, at the next city council meeting, I'll be requesting appointment of the new boards and council approval on board members or appointment of board members for MOCA.
I will need a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Next meeting date, January 27. Good night, everyone.
Good night.